wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna talk.
Welcome, my friends. It's Talk to Solomon. That's me, Stan Solomon, my co-host.
Chief Steve.
And from freedomradio.us, Brent Johnson joins us. Brent? Is Brent with us?
Can you? Sorry about that. Here I am.
All right, we got
Here
you.
I am.
Now, our guest,
right.
our guest this half hour is Ben Barrack. Ben, how are you?
I'm great, Stan. How are you?
Nice to have you back. We want to talk about what everyone should be talking about, everyone is thinking about, everyone knows about, and that is that for the first time since whatever, the 70s, we've had people feeling that there's no reason to fear the United States, and they intentionally, publicly, egregiously attacked an embassy, a consulate, and murdered Americans, including our ambassador. We know that the State Department was watching this in real time as they had a drone that was recording it. And we know it didn't take 5 minutes. It took 3 hours, thereabouts. And yet we didn't send in any assets, and they weren't that far away, to do anything to mitigate what was going on. Now, with that introduction, talk to us about what happened in Benghazi.
Well, I mean, it defies belief. And you know, before getting into what Mitt Romney did or didn't say about Benghazi, this whole thing it's interesting because there's a lot of parallels between what happened in Benghazi and what happened in Fast and Furious from an administrative perspective, from the Barack Obama administration perspective, because you had a situation in Benghazi where you had security breaches. It's as early as June 6th. There was a bomb placed at 3 o'clock in the morning. Darrell Issa, Representative Darrell Issa, who did great work in Fast and Furious, is doing great work here. He sent a letter to Barack Obama on Friday of last week that highlighted the security breaches, and there were 230 of them. I don't think he put all of them on there, but there were, in June 6th at 3 o'clock in the morning, an Islamist riding in a white pickup truck drives up to the gate and gets out of the vehicle and places what appeared to be a bomb on the perimeter wall of the consulate. And shortly thereafter, it blew a massive hole in the wall, and big enough for a bunch of people to go through. Now, there is a question that needs to be asked of the administration. Like you say, they were watching the September 11th attack in real time. They blamed a video. They blamed a video for 2 or 3 weeks after the attack. Yet, before the video ever made it to the internet, before July is when the video went online. A month earlier, this attack had taken place. So the question that I have is, A, did you know about the attack on June 6th? And if you did, why wasn't anything done to secure the consulate, despite the fact that even up to the day of Chris Stevens' murder, his assassination, up to that day, he was sending cables pleading for more security. So you have that aspect to this. Also included in Darrell Issa's letter to Barack Obama was what the whistleblowers had told him, and I would say he's pretty confident if he's going to put this in the letter. But basically, what the whistleblowers told him was that there was a policy that was being implemented in Benghazi to make it normalized, and those are in quotes, normalized, so that by giving more security to Libya, it would take away from the perception that the country had been normalized after Gaddafi had been overthrown. So there was a political aspect to this as well. Now, politically, if that's correct, you had in Fast and Furious, you had a political agenda, which, let's make no mistake about this, the political agenda in Fast and Furious was to put automatic assault weapons into the hands of bad guys in Mexico to create a culture whereby gun control would be amenable to the public. A culture that would be able to be pushed through, an assault weapons ban, if you will, or other restrictions on guns. So a gun control agenda, a political agenda, trumped human life. Hundreds of dead Mexicans, a murdered Border Patrol agent. Now you contrast that with what happened in Benghazi. If ISIS claims are correct that they were seeking to normalize the conditions in Libya, you have a political agenda. You have a political agenda that trumped the security of human life. Not just any human life. I mean, all human life is sacred. But you're talking about the ambassador of the United States to Libya, and who actually fell victim to an act of war. I don't know how else you term this. This was an act of war on our consulate. And,
now, Ben, Ben, take a break here for a second, because you're getting through a lot of points, and we want to get the rest of the panel involved.
Sure.
Here's a reality, and then we're going to go around the horn here. Barack Obama, and Rush Limbaugh did a good job of explaining this, wanted to have the world feel that since Osama bin Laden was taken out, that Al-Qaeda was dead, and that there was no more quote-unquote terrorist threat, and therefore no need to put in the kind of security arrangements that were being requested. Is that a fair statement?
Yep.
All right. Now, Barack Obama sent an openly homosexual man to be America in Libya. Now, I say that because when you kill an American ambassador, whoever that ambassador happens to be, male or female, old or young, that ambassador represents the United States of America, and an attack on that ambassador is an attack on the United States. An attack on that ambassador is an attempt to murder America, and most people don't want to go there because America has the ability to kick some serious booty. And yet, he sent, as that representative of America, to a Muslim country, whether or not Gaddafi was in charge or someone else is in charge, to a country that was 99.9% Muslim, where homosexuality is considered to be wrong and an affront. He sent an openly homosexual ambassador. Is that correct?
I've heard that, but I don't know that to be true. I mean, you might have more information than I do on that.
It absolutely is true, and was acknowledged as such by his family. Now, that ambassador, in the process of him being murdered, was publicly sodomized. And those pictures were everywhere, but they've all now disappeared. And no one else was, of the other people they killed, only this ambassador. So we have strike one, strike two, strike three, in my estimation. But let's go around the horn. Chief?
Well, let's also remember that we don't know much about Barack Obama. A lot of his past has been held secret, but things that have come out that we do know he was sent to an Islamic school as a child. He lived in a country where he was in an Islamic environment, and so he's very friendly with the Islamic way of life. Also, his campaign was started by a known terrorist, Bill Ayers, who blew up American buildings with bombs. And so it appears that, and it makes logical sense, that Barack Obama doesn't feel like these Islamics are terrorists. They're just fighters trying to combat evil regimes like the United States of America. So if they drop a bomb off at our embassy, that's to be expected, that they're just doing their thing to try and stop the awful United States of America. But then on the other end, you get into this long picture. What you just said, I believe, is absolutely correct, that Barack Obama tried to convince the American people that he had defeated this terrorist regime, when in fact he did no such thing. They become more bolstered and more engaged than they were before, which took place on 9/11 of this year and killed our ambassador.
Brent?
Yeah, well, I mean, I hate to be a broken record, but it goes back to the same thing I said earlier. These people commit murder regularly. These people commit treason regularly. These people do whatever they want to do regularly and consistently. In other words, they violate the supreme law of the land. That means that they are outlaws. They are lawless thugs. They are criminals. And criminals get away with crime because nobody does anything to stop them. Everybody turns to the Supreme Court or to the courts or to the legislature or to whomever to say, hey, do something about it. And the bottom line is America was founded on the principle that the American people are the nobility here and the government is the public servant. And when the government fails to do its duty as prescribed by the people through the Constitution and the Declaration, then it is up to the people to rise up and stop the government thugs. And I don't care how many of you sit there and say, I don't want to have violence, I don't want to have a revolution, it would be bloody. Yes, it would be. Thomas Jefferson once wrote, the tree of liberty must be watered from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure. Thomas Jefferson was a very intelligent man. He was not a crazy man who just wanted to shoot people up. But what you have in Libya, for example, Obama thugs knew about it. We know they knew about it. We know they didn't send help. We know they funded the terrorists who unlawfully overthrew Gaddafi. And I don't care what you think about Gaddafi. Gaddafi was the lawfully installed head of state of Libya. We had no business in Libya. Same thing we did with Saddam in Iraq. We had no business in Iraq, and what we did was destabilize the country and allow the terrorists to come in and take over. And that's why our ambassador died, and that's why those 3 other people died. And it will continue to happen until and unless the American people say, no more, enough is enough, we're taking the law into our own hands and we're going to stop you thugs from committing your heinous acts.
But it wasn't we, it was Barack Obama who sent the drones and military in and destroyed Gaddafi when our Congress was on break. But he got the permission from
we should go after Barack Obama.
Yes, we should.
We should go after Barack Obama. If he's the guilty party, go after him. Make there be consequences for this type of egregious breach of law. I don't care what party the person is a member of.
Grant, we're going to do that. We're going to do that on November the 6th. Go ahead.
No, I just want to make sure that the point was made that Barack Obama did take the time, though, to go to the UN to get their permission and to the Islamic whatever's over there in the Middle East to get their permission.
But he
didn't ask our own Congress if he could go do it.
Well said. All right.
Exactly.
All right, well, I'm going to get back to our guests. Obviously, you can see there's some thoughts floating around here that we have. The bottom line, the fact is that our president not only affronted the American people, he affronted the Libyan people, and I assume, but I do not know, that these terrorists dislike us more than they disliked Gaddafi. Am I right or wrong?
It's an interesting thought to consider. But one of the things is that we've seen from this administration time and time again is that every single solitary policy that's been implemented by the Barack Obama administration has been in support of the Muslim Brotherhood. In fact, at some point, maybe Christopher Stevens didn't have security because the administration thought that because he was on the side of overthrowing Gaddafi and helping, the United States was actually helping the rebels, that there was security concerns may not have been as warranted as otherwise. But as we see, enemy of my enemy is my friend. Until my enemy is eliminated, then this is no longer a friend. I mean, we see this kind of thing in the Middle East constantly, and whether it's I'm not in a position to say that Barack Obama doesn't know about the Muslim Brotherhood. Barack Obama knows the Muslim Brotherhood very well. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Rashid Khalidi is a friend of his. Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dorn, you mentioned them earlier. They've been over there with the Palestinians, with the Free Gaza movement. They were involved in the Turkish flotilla that went into Israel. You have an administration here that is beyond just kind of helping the Muslim Brotherhood. It's on the same page at every turn, and we've got to face up to that.
Now, let me ask you this question. There's a story that a year-long investigation has found that scores of known radical Islamists made hundreds of visits to the Obama White House. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Well, you had the delegation back in, I can't remember when that was. There was a delegation, a Muslim Brotherhood delegation that came into the White House, I want to say about 6 months ago. And you had Hadi al-Amri. He was another individual. He was the guy and he's actually Iranian. He was a guy that was tied to the Khobar Towers bombing. On the week of our last troop withdrawal from Iraq, Hadi al-Amri, who is he's on video. You can see him kissing the hand of the Ayatollah. He's on video doing that, and that week he was given the red carpet treatment by the Barack Obama administration into the White House. He's the secretary. You talk about going into Iraq and destabilizing Iraq. Yeah, going into Iraq was a big mistake. Hadi al-Amri is transportation secretary for that country right now. So Iraq has basically all but been annexed by Iran at this point. If not, that day's coming. And so you have this not only inviting radical Islamists into the White House, but you have people with very questionable allegiances that are already in the administration. You have Hillary Clinton's deputy chief of staff, Huma Abedin. Her mother is Muslim Sisterhood. Her mother, Saleha Abedin, is a close colleague of the First Lady of Egypt. They're together 2 of the 63 leaders of the Muslim Sisterhood. So not only are we welcoming Islamists into the White House to visit and having their names on the visitors' logs, but we have people that shouldn't even be in the administration. Huma Abedin was on the board of the Institute of Muslim Minority Affairs from 1996 till 2008. The Institute of Muslim Minority Affairs was founded by a guy named Abdullah Omar Nassif, who had the blessing of the Saudi royal family, and he served on the board as well. He put Huma's parents in charge of that organization. And Huma Abedin's brother is Hassan Abedin, on the board of the Occidental Islamic, OCIS, Occidental something, Islamic Society in not Occidental, Oxford Center for Islamic Studies in Great Britain. So Huma herself was on the board of the Muslim Students Association in 1996 at George Washington University. This is a known Muslim Brotherhood group. How in the world she would be the deputy chief of staff for Hillary Clinton after serving 12 years on this board is a big red flag. And if you just look at the people that have supported her, Michelle Bachmann, Representative Bachmann, to her credit, had called her out in a letter and called attention to it. It's a very controversial thing when she did that. But if you look at all of the people that have supported, come to Huma Abedin's defense and/or been critical of Michelle Bachmann, you have a very interesting profile.
Well said, Chief.
Well, thanks for mentioning Michelle Bachmann, because it's obvious that the conservative women right now have more guts than the conservative men. Give Darrell Issa a little slack there too. But it just appears, first of all, Barack Obama he doesn't say the word terror. He doesn't say the word terrorist. He doesn't use it because
man-made, whatever.
He does not believe that the Islamics are committing terrorism. He believes that they're fighting the regime. They're fighting the good fight, and he's on their side. It's very obvious. Recent ruling about the Fort Hood shooting, where he refused to rule that as a terrorist act, which would have given the victims of that and their families the Purple Heart benefits from that incident. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, they hate America, and as Dan just said a second ago, it's the friend of the enemy.
Ben,
I'm sorry, Ben. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and so they've all colluded together with the same type of philosophy, and they're all on the same page, and it's against America.
Brant?
I'm glad. Yeah, go ahead.
Brant?
I'm glad you mentioned Fort Hood, because I broadcast to Fort Hood. That's the market that we're in, and last week there was an awesome video that was released featuring the survivors of the Fort Hood jihadist attack. And like you say, they're wanting this thing to be identified for what it is. It was an act of war. It was jihad. And it should have been in the debate last night. It's a foreign policy issue because Nidal Malik Hassan was in communication with Anwar al-Awlaki in Yemen. But what you mentioned, Purple Hearts too, and this really gets me, because in 2004, John Kerry was swift-voted by his colleagues in Vietnam, who said he didn't deserve Purple Hearts. Here we have in 2012 these men, these women who deserve Purple Hearts and aren't getting them just because this president will not call what happened to them what it was, which was act of war, jihad.
And you notice that the president in the debate last night said, there have been no attacks on my watch. I beg your pardon, Mr. In the Rose Garden. There have been a number of attacks, and most of them successful. Brent, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, but you don't label them. Yeah, you don't label them as an attack. Remember, it's all about image in Washington, D.C. You don't call it terrorist attack, and then you go out and you say there have been no terrorist attacks. This is also not a partisan issue. This is not a Democrat-Republican issue. George W. Bush went out there in the Carlyle group. His family was buddy-buddy with the bin Ladens, and we know that for a fact. This has been going on for a very, very, very long time, and it crosses political party boundaries. And again, I'm not in any way defending Obama. I think Obama should be executed. But they call me to the right of Stan in that. But and I'm not afraid to say it. Secret Service wants to come after me for saying it? Go ahead. I couldn't care less. But what you have is you have people, you have a culture, a political culture of criminals who never get punished for the crimes they commit. And so it's completely understandable that they commit more and more and more heinous crimes. And yeah, Obama has been, red carpeting the Muslim terrorists to take over that part of the world. Bush was no sweet, Rose Garden walker either. Before Bush, Clinton, a lot of people don't talk about Clinton, but Clinton really pushed the boundaries of the Constitution quite far. I think the last decent president we had was Ronald Reagan. George W. Bush was big-time CIA. These people do not have the interests of the American people at heart. Those interests are life, liberty, property rights, truth, justice, and freedom. They don't have those interests. That's not the standard that these people go by. So I don't understand why we're surprised when they do these kinds of things. And the only way they're going to stop again is if we stop them. They're not going to stop themselves.
All right. Ben, let me go back to you. President Morsi of Egypt went to a public prayer session, I guess you'd call it, and the preacher said, Allah destroy the Jews, and Morsi, testified and said amen. He doesn't feel any reticence to express his feelings, his desire to eliminate Israel and kill Jews. And somehow when you say that, they want to call you an Islamophobe. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they want to call us Islamophobic, like we're racist. Okay, where's the racism? The racism is with people like Mohammed Morsi, who are so filled with anti-Semitism that they want to just wipe out an entire race of people. How is it that people who call people like that out racist? How is it that we're the racists? That's what I want to know. And as far as the Muslim Brotherhood goes, look. One of the reasons that well, not a reason, but it's an obvious self-evident truth that Morsi's Muslim Brotherhood was aligned with the Nazis in World War II. We're dealing with racism on steroids, and we're the ones that are being accused. I think that's incredibly despicable. I'd like to go real quick back to what your other panelists said about George W. Bush after 9/11. Look, George W. Bush had 90% approval rating after 9/11, after we were hit. The real people who should have been brought to justice were the Saudis, were the Saudi royal family. We could have gotten energy independence. Bush could have gone after the people who were behind 9/11, and he didn't do it. He didn't do it. In fact,
we can't get into a discussion about how. We can't get into a discussion about the 9/11 because I know more than most people about what really went on. I'm questioning in my mind that Bush was complicit in those activities. But
and I think you've been smoking crack.
Brought out about Morsi.
All right, hold on.
This is
Brent, hold on. Finish your comment, please, Ben.
Yeah. So, but all that to say, there were Al Qaeda financiers, the Muslim World League, the I forget. There's other ones. There's several Al Qaeda financiers and entities that were not named in the 9/11 Commission report, and we've got to start looking at things like that. And until we identify who really wants us killed, and don't put oil in front of that, we're going to have to admit some cold hard truths. And energy independence is critical in this country.
I agree. Brent, go ahead now.
My comment was that this story about Morsi going on to kill the Jews, he may have done it. It's very possible, and I'm certainly not a fan of Morsi. I don't want you to think that. But I am a fan of the truth. And the truth is that the only witness to that he said amen to kill the Jews was the Anti-Defamation League. Do you know the Anti-Defamation League has me listed as a hate group? So, in my mind, they have absolutely no credibility whatsoever. And I contacted them once about that, and they ignored me completely. So the only witness is the ADL, and to me, as a journalist, that's not sufficient to go out and say Morsi did. Maybe he did, but there is no other witness confirming that he did.
First of all, the ADL was not in that mosque, I promise you. And I'm also listed as a terrorist by the ADL, so I'm no fan of them. They're circumcised assholes. Can you do that?
Okay.
I'm not sure. All right. Ben, we appreciate you being on the show. I'm sorry you caught us a little bit, well, hell, we're always this way. Thank you for being our guest, and we look forward to having you back.
Thanks, Dan.
You got it.
Thanks, Ben.
All right. We'll be back shortly. We have more to go, more sensitivity. Murray Holland's going to talk about getting us out of debt. Do you know that every household in America owes almost 50 grand now, thanks to the spending by the government, both Republican and Democrat, but lately more by Democrats? We'll be right back. That's a word picture for you.
Weird.
Do you like being healthy? Circumcised assholes.
Oh, yeah.
In fact,
A
this
word
product,
picture.
which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great,
Yeah, with
and it's
liberals, if
sugar-free.
you
1
off
ounce
a hemorrhoid, you
of
keep
Sonic
hemorrhoids,
Life
put them
each
away.
day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank
I still think that
your mom for,
the
your husband
most
for, your
clever
wife for, your
remark
kids
that's been
for,
made in
whoever
this
you give
entire
it to,
campaign
they're going to say thank you,
is
and you are going to enjoy
Barack
the
Obama's
benefits
being,
of having all the
today's
vitamins,
debate
all
is
the
being
minerals,
brought to you
all the
in
nutrients
the
your
spirit
body
of Sesame
needs
Street by
in
the letter
one
O and the
very
number
reasonably
16
priced
trillion.
product.
That
Just
absolutely
go to cpnlive.com
was a
everything's right there.
between the eye
You'll be able to read all the
direct
ingredients.
hit.
The price is right there. A
He
flat
was
price
great.
delivered to your door
I
anywhere in the
had a
United
tear
States.
at the end of that.
Sonic
First it was
Life
funny, but then at the
is
end when he was
a
sincere
gift,
about
a great
being
give it to yourself.
an advocate of their cause and you know, and there for them. It was just like really touching.
Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it.
Romney
And
was
I'll
very
only
good
tell
at
you
that.
the truth
He was very
because
good.
I'm a Republican, not a Democrat.
he's gonna be the next
Democrats always lie.
president.
Yes, he
Republicans,
is.
At this
lie
point,
all the
he
time.
is.
Colorado
I lie
has
This is
moved
the
to
fuel.
Romney.
It's an extraordinary
Nevada
product that was developed
has moved
by
to
a friend
Romney.
of mine, an
North
engineer.
Carolina.
New Hampshire
And it
is moving to
increases the
Romney.
fuel mileage
He
on
can
your
win without
vehicle.
Ohio.
If you have
But
a combustion
Ohio,
engine,
they're tied.
This will increase your mileage
Florida,
by 10
North
to
Carolina,
20%.
Virginia have all moved
It
to Romney.
bolts around
So
your fuel line.
even
You can
Iowa
install it
looks
yourself
like
or have your
Romney, and
mechanic do it.
Wisconsin and
And it's an
Pennsylvania are in play.
extraordinary
Well, Wisconsin
item,
and Pennsylvania
and it flat
shouldn't even
works.
be
I've been
battleground
using it
states. Those
for
should be
more than
already
10
in the
years.
Democrat column.
Especially
It's
Pennsylvania with all that
increased my
coal
mileage
and
on
oil.
every
I mean,
vehicle
coal
I
and,
put it on, and by the
and
way,
steel. And
it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. And you know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. CPNLive.com. Check it out. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mosey, the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to CPNLive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. CPNLive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mosey, the backup people.